live so we can start. Okay, I think we're live. Hello, Kofi.
Yeah, happy birthday of Young.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm glad to have you. Welcome to my first ever YouTube live stream. And incidentally, this goes live on my birthday, so it means a lot to me. Thank you for joining. Today, we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic, and we're going to be answering very important questions. How safe is your secret on the internet? Especially for those of you that like to browse with private mode or incognito mode for those that use Chrome browser, especially considering the recent lawsuits against Google. And I will not be doing this alone. I have a very intelligent, very erudite legal practitioner with me, Kofi Apori. Kofi is a technology lawyer and he's a partner in Acorn and Mustard. As you can see, he's repping. Look at his t-shirt. You see Acorn and Mustard there. He's also the head of the firm's technology and fintech practice group, and he has a very broad knowledge when it comes to the technology landscape in Nigeria. So he's the best person to answer our questions today. Thank you again, Kofi. Thank you for doing this with me. Thank you. All right, so let's not waste time. Let's jump right into it. Before now, a lot of people, and that includes me, used to think that when you're browsing in incognito mode, that is private mode, especially with Chrome browser, because that's the main thing we're discussing today. It means that all your activities cannot be tracked, your IP address, the pages you visit, what exactly you're browsing about, your secret is safe. But with this recent lawsuit against Google, we can see that there have been a lot of revelations and it is not exactly what we thought it was. So please, first of all, tell us what incognito mode is when it comes to browsing with Chrome browser particularly, and then how does it work in reality based on these revelations?
Okay. So, thank you for the question. Now, incognito mode, the best way to describe it is private browsing mode. But
Okay.
that's where the issue comes about then private browsing mode. But in simpler terms, what it allows you to do, it allows you to browse on Google Chrome privately
Mm-hmm.
without leaving any trace of your activity on the device you use to browse. So emphasis on
Mm.
no trace on your activity on the device you use to browse. So what it does is hides your browsing history. It doesn't save cookies, and then it also does not allow device tracking. That is, you cannot track you on that device that you use to browse. However, it allows for other things which we will discuss further. But
Wait,
essentially,
sorry. When you say it doesn't allow for tracking, does that have to do with IP address?
no, I just on the device use. So, for example, I use I maybe I come to visit you and I say, "Oh, Fion, give me your phone. Let me use your phone to check something." So you cannot track my activities on that device I use. You
Okay,
cannot
okay,
track my
okay, I follow.
device. You who has access to the device. So anybody who has access to the device cannot track my activity on the device. However, the sites I have visited can track my activity. The ISP provider, internet service provider, can track my activity. Google itself can track
That
my
is
activity.
in the case of MTN, Glow, and the rest. When you
And
say internet service provider.
exactly, Google
Okay.
track my activity. Any website I visit can track my activity. Although cookies are not safe, but my activity can be tracked. But the device I use to browse cannot track my activity. So I use your phone, I use a public, let's assume I go to a library and I use the laptop there or the computer there. I won't want to leave a trace of what I've done or my passwords. Right? I don't have to log out or anything. I just have to close the browser and everything is automatically
Page.
stopped. Exactly. That's what it
Okay,
does.
but then okay, but then
The
if you go to
leg of your question was what
go
did
ahead.
you think it does, right? I think that was yes.
Yes, how it works in reality,
How it works in reality.
in
Yes.
which
Okay.
you've
So
explained.
yeah, okay, yeah, so this is so users had assumed because there's a term private browsing mode, or Google even sold as private browsing mode, they are just assumed that it means that whatever I'm doing there is between me and my laptop or between me and myself. However, in
Okay.
reality, I was trying to explain, it is not the case. The only thing that happens is that there is no trace of what you've done on that device. However, you have left breadcrumbs all over the internet. So there are different
Okay.
individual or different service providers who have access to all of your breadcrumbs, every site you visited, the things you've clicked on, and Google even tracks you more than they would track you in other modes, because now what they're trying to do is they're trying to identify you based on who you are. Because if you click on incognito mode, usually if you are using a Google Chrome that is on your phone, you are normally already logged into your Gmail account. But when you click on
Mm-hmm.
incognito, you're not logged into the same account. So what then happens is that Google is trying to trace if it's Ofyong using her phone or if it's somebody else. So they start putting lots of breadcrumbs for me to click on, and things that would make them determine if it was Ofyong using her phone or somebody else. So that means there's enhanced tracking, which Google did not
Imagine.
let.
So the fact that I'm trying to hide means that they're even trying to check exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so in
Exactly.
other words, if someone else uses that device, they can't see what you did. But Google has gone deeper to find out what you're doing. So
Yeah,
assuming
exactly.
you were trying to research or to look for a birthday present for your partner, for instance, and you did not want them to know, only for
Yeah,
you to leave, you now start seeing Jumia or Amazon sending you
exactly. Exactly. Ofyong is lost. I can't hear you. Ofyong, can you hear me? Hello?
just be patient. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So I was trying to laugh at the fact that you are hiding and then they're now digging into what you're really doing. So that's funny.
Yes.
Okay, but then if you go to Google in if you try to activate incognito mode, you're going to see this kind of message. It says you've gone incognito. Now there are people who use this activity. However,
Yes.
downloads, bookmarks, and reading lists information. Your browsing history you visit, your employer or school, your provider. Now that sounds like a good disclaimer. And you know that before now, privacy experts had warned us that this incognito is not as private as you think it is. So
Yes.
this coupled with this disclaimer here, don't you think this was enough to have served as a defense for Google?
Okay. Now, the reason this disclaimer, first of this disclaimer came into place in January when after the suit was settled. So the disclaimer they had before,
Oh, this is recent.
this is recent. This is a recent splash
Hmm.
screen. So
Okay.
before the case, they just had something that if you click on it to be something like browsing privately. I can't remember what the disclaimer was then, but it
Okay, you are
wasn't.
now browsing privately.
Now exactly you're
Okay.
not browsing without, so this setting out what would happen and what won't happen is a new thing. Then secondly, about the issue of experts, you were saying coupled with these disclaimers, there were disclaimers before an expert, but the issue was Google's messaging. You know, sometimes I advise clients, if you're trying to do something that you think that there's no like regulatory clarity on it, you would
Mhm.
create your messaging and your text and your advertisement in such a way that it's not so clear what you are doing, so that the federal government is not exactly clear on what you are doing and they cannot sanction you. And that's something similar to what Google was doing. They employed messaging that made you think that you were browsing privately. Now, if the term privately is used and splashed all over the screen, you would assume that you are browsing privately. Now, we all know that most of
So
us
it
don't.
was reasonable for users to think that they were browsing privately, whereas
Exactly.
it wasn't so.
Wasn't so. So the industry standard, even the reasonable man test. So for example, if somebody is sees browsing privately on his laptop, he assumes he's browsing privately. And what is the industry standard as to disclaimers? In this case, Google didn't meet that standard as to what their disclaimer should be. And their language, the messaging and language was such that encourage you to browse on anything because without any tracking. Then on the issue of experts warning you, assume, for example, I own a fast food restaurant and you have eaten at fast food restaurant and you had food poisoning. All of your friends are eating and had food poisoning. And your husband decides he wants to go, then you tell him, don't go and eat in Kofi's restaurant because you have food poisoning. If your husband still comes and eats in my restaurant and have food poisoning, does not exclude me of liability
Exonerate.
for
Yeah.
so that experts were warning. The issue was Google saying it? And did people anticipate that when they go on Google Chrome incognito mode, that they would have a level of privacy? And also the other issue was Google collecting more than they said they were collecting, which was also a very big issue. So they were
Yeah.
more than they were saying they were collecting, because their privacy warnings and wordings suggested that they were not collecting as much, but they were collecting more data, and they had set up their Google Ads and analytics and ad manager to try to match you to, because if you check on Google Ads and analytics, they have analyzed most of their users based on our preferences to determine who we are, what we like, what we don't like, our
True.
age, a couple of things. So what they're doing when you are browsing on Google incognito is to match you. Even they were taking fingerprinting data. If, for example, your laptop has fingerprints or your phone has fingerprints, and you use your fingerprint to log into anything while you're on Google Chrome, while you're on Google incognito, now this was too much data. So the we're looking at it like, were you meeting industry standards on privacy? Was your messaging clear? And that experts are warning others is not enough. Have you warned your users? Have you put your smokers are liable to die young on your platform? Or have you told people that everything you're doing here is liable to be tracked? Or everything you're doing here is being tracked by Google, your ISPs, and even people who control the data that you use? So that was the whole issue. Of Young, I hope you heard the latter part of what I was saying, because it seems like network is bad again. Yeah, Of Young,
Okay, okay.
did you get
So
the
the
later
last
part?
thing I heard was that they even take fingerprints. That was the last thing I heard.
Yeah, yeah. So I was saying that they were collecting more data than they claimed that they were collecting. So the issue was the discrepancy between Google's claims and reality. So they claimed they were not collecting as much data, but they were collecting as much as possible data. They were collecting everything collectible. They claimed that they issued disclaimers, but disclaimers were very vague, and they were purposely so, because if I am vague in my messaging, I cannot be held liable for telling you what I did not tell you. But then that was the issue. Why are you being vague on your messaging on privacy? Of your
I'm so sorry to think that we're discussing technology and technology wants to embarrass us.
no problem. So what was the
Okay,
last thing?
anyway, you were just basically saying that they collected more data than they presented, to the public, to their users. Okay,
Yes,
so I understand that this suit originated in the US. Now
yes.
that they have agreed to settle, can another group bring a class action on the same issue, or it's over, the matter is closed, and that's it?
Now, by as a result of the settlement, what the court had directed, because they settled, Google did not admit liability, and also the issue of the $5 billion claim was also not discussed. So what the court directed as part of settlement, individuals who claims, and people have already filed their individual actions against Google for the
Okay.
compensation based on this settlement. So
Okay.
that's the actions. But now the issue of the class action coming up again, depending on how you look at it, maybe looked at some um uh,
An
stupid
abuse.
law. Maybe not necessarily let's say stupid, because as it has already been settled, so
Okay,
it will be
okay.
stupid because yes, the matter has been decided by the courts. A settlement has been entered, even though you're not party to that settlement, depending on the nature of the settlement, which I have not exactly seen the terms of settlement, but I'm just assuming based on my knowledge of dispute resolution that depending on the way the settlement was reached, and depending on how the judgment was entered, it may bar others from bringing a class action. But since the settlements, let's do this for fun. Yes. So as I was saying, depending on how the settlement
Based
was
on
reached,
based on your knowledge of dispute resolution.
yes, and how the judgment was reached. It may bar others from bringing a class action depending on how it was written. But since the judgment even said went a step further to say
Okay.
that individuals can bring individual actions, then if you believe you have a claim. And besides, it was reached in another jurisdiction. So if you are bringing your own claim under our own data privacy laws in Nigeria here or somewhere else, it may be you should have a cause of action, because my right was breached. The class of individuals that were determined in that class action most likely did not anticipate, so I can bring my own action if I want to. Whether it succeeds is another issue.
Okay.
Offiong, are you there?
Okay, okay, okay. So what's that they're introducing to their Chrome
Okay.
browser based on this
So I think
case?
you asked because you broke a little bit. So I think your question was what has changed.
Yes, what has changed
Oh,
apart from the disclaimer which I've seen? I didn't see me. I don't use incognito, so I didn't know that
yes.
this is the changed one. So apart from this disclaimer, are they bringing any new thing to their
Okay.
browser? Are they introducing anything generally to their services based on this court decision?
Okay. What they have, for one, they have destroyed data that they had collected. So part of the decision was to destroy the data of the individuals that they had collected.
So all of us were safe. All of us that have used incognito mode, we're all safe now.
And not necessarily again, because now we have heard reports of the decision. The decision was, from what I have read, the report I have read, because I haven't read the full decision, but the report I've read said that they have destroyed billions of data. Now, there's no this. It's not clear as to what's classified as that billions of data. Is it data of all
Because
the
some
users?
could be left
Exactly. Is it all the users or all the users who went to courts?
in
That's
that
not.
class action. Yes,
Yeah.
I'd like to think it's the people, the
Who,
group of people that instituted the action.
exactly. I'm assuming that my data may still be there, but they have deleted the data. They have improved their privacy disclosures, and they are being more transparent with telling individuals what data will be collected. So now you see that splash messaging. It tells you what to be collected.
Ooh, network. Come on, glow Nigeria, glow with pride and let us flow, please. Oh, guys, please, I lost Kofi, but give me a moment. I'm sure he'll join us again. Glow with pride is not glowing with pride this evening, unfortunately. Please be patient. Let him join us again. Kofi, are you there? Uh-oh. Please be patient. Let our guest join us again. As long as you have an Android phone, you're definitely going to have Chrome browser. Okay, so
Yes.
welcome back.
Yes.
I'm
Sorry,
so
my
sorry
phone.
about the network.
Yes, my phone had a issue.
Okay.
Are we continuing or is this a new?
Yes, let's just continue. Or should I ask the next set of questions?
No, like we can please ask the next set of questions. I'm trying to lost
Okay,
my
so I
train of
wanted to
thought.
talk about other browsers because we've been talking about Google, and this incognito mode thing is in Google Chrome browser. But of course,
Yeah.
every other browser has private mode or private
Yeah.
browsing. So now, What about other browsers like Opera Mini, Edge by Microsoft, and the rest of them? Do they have private mode too? Do they process users' data as much as Google Chrome does? And also, do they stand a chance to compete against Google? I mean, everyone that has an Android phone, the Android
Yes.
phone definitely comes with Google Chrome and other, services by Google. So you can't really avoid it except you consciously delete them. And someone like me, I don't have time. I'll just use my Chrome and go my way. So other browsers now that are not so popular, do they stand a chance to compete against Google Chrome? Do they process as much data in private mode like Google Chrome does? I think
Oh,
that's it for that. Yeah, then let's you can answer those ones, then I'll ask as we progress.
okay. So Microsoft Edge has in private browsing. I'm not quite sure what Opera Mini's own is called. Now, it's essentially similar to Google Chrome. Now, the other browsers who have private browsing modes, the only thing that limits them from collecting as much data as Google is just the capability, in my opinion. Because we are in the era where data is the new gold or is the new oil, as Bill Gates would say. So everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants to collect data. Everybody wants to collect as much data as Google is collecting, but not everybody has the capability of collecting as much data. So right now, they may seem safer just because the other popular ones like Edge, I think Firefox, which and the rest,
Opera
Opera
Mini.
Mini, like mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
are not collecting as much data currently as Google is. But I stand on it's my personal belief that it's only because they cannot, because they don't have the capability, not because they don't want to, but they are not collecting as much. Now about
So, so,
competing,
so, so the build of Google Chrome is more superior to others.
yeah, because yes, everybody now has almost everybody has a Gmail account. So it's easier
Okay.
for Google Chrome to collect your data because they know who you are first of all when you are logging in. Whereas if you log into Microsoft Edge, you might not have a Microsoft account, so you can be browsing almost anonymously. Why I'm saying almost anonymously is that Microsoft can tell your IP address, can tell this system is being used, but because you have not logged in, so they don't exactly know who the name of the individual is. But everybody who's using Google Chrome, almost everybody who uses Google Chrome logs into their Gmail accounts before they start browsing. So it's easy for Google to trace who you are and collect your data. Whereas on Microsoft, Kofi, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, yes.
Okay. So I was saying, if you log into Google Chrome, anybody who wants to use Google Chrome, usually just always log into their Gmail account on the same phone that they're using their Chrome on, or on the same computer or laptop they're using their Chrome on. So Google already knows that it is Kofi accessing
Mm.
this because they already have once you've logged in, they know it is Apori Kofi at Gmail or whatever your own
They have
email
your
may be.
details already.
Exactly, have your
Mm.
details. So it's easy for them to just track and add to what the details they have. But when you're using Edge, most of us don't have a good Microsoft account. I have a Microsoft account, and that's because I use a Microsoft laptop. That's the reason. So it's harder, slightly
Okay.
harder for Edge to track me because if I'm logging on Edge or maybe on my phone, I might have not logged into my Microsoft account. Opera Mini, I don't know if Opera Mini even has accounts. I know my Firefox does not necessarily. Firefox has accounts, but not everybody logs into their account on this other one. So it's harder for them to track. That's really the only reason why they're not tracking as much as Google is. And Google also is linked to almost everything you do. So you are using a Gmail, you are using Google Chrome to browse. We are using YouTube now to have this conversation. We may be
Mm-hmm.
using another. There are so many
Yeah.
Google services we use. When we are searching, we would normally use
Without even realizing that we're
exactly,
using services from one
exactly.
one one tech company.
Exactly use Google to search. We won't use
That
Bing
that
to
makes
search.
sense.
That's why it's the case that is difficult for the others. But they can compete in the sense of the fact that these days I've discovered personally, it's a personal opinion that Edge is faster than Google Chrome because it's lighter. Because they are not tracking us as much, they have a lighter build compared to Chrome. And they are trying to incorporate some other things because even they were part of the guys who did OpenAI and ChatGPT. So their own search engine is sort of better in the sense that you could have the ChatGPT style of answers as compared to just different websites
Mm.
that you can use to
Okay.
answer. And I know Google is also trying to incorporate that. So they are trying to compete in different ways, and they can compete. Just that people are just sometimes stuck with what they are
But
used
Google
to.
is just more popular, anyways. I
Exactly. And
think
it's more
Google is just
convenient.
more popular
It comes to your
and
phone,
more
like you
convenient.
mentioned.
Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, but I believe that there are other browsers that don't um process user data at all in private mode.
Mm.
I think there are a couple of them out there. Have you heard of any?
Yes, yes. So there's the popular one, DuckDuckGo. Then there's also Brave browser. There's Tor browser. Now these ones they work in a way that they work almost like the way a VPN works. They hide your IP address. They also
Mm-hmm.
encrypt your data. So even the websites that you are visiting through these other browsers cannot read your data because
Okay.
yeah, but yes, so they work the same way VPNs work because VPN encrypts your IP, but VPN cannot entirely encrypt your uh what you are viewing on some of these websites because the websites can still see what you are doing there, but the websites will only now be tracing your IP to another location and not to you. But with these other browsers, they are totally trying to keep you off the web, so nobody knows what you are doing on the web except for you who has
That's
it. And
this
even when you
Brave
close some of these
Brave browser and
Brave
the
browser,
likes.
Tor, and DuckDuckGo, and the rest. So Tor, DuckDuckGo, and Brave. That's the way they work. Now, the most major issue that they all have is that they are slower. They are slower
Okay.
than these other ones because first of all, because of these things they incorporate. Because when you even use VPN to browse normally on Chrome or any other browser, it slows down your browsing speed. Because if you click on the website before you have it has to first route you to another IP address, like scramble you before it now gets access. So first, when it's also getting your sending your data, it encrypts your data, decrypts it, routes you. So it's a process that would have been removed if you want access to these things. So because of the VPN embedded in some of these websites, it slows down your browsing. So individuals who use these browsers, sorry, are individuals who are very interested in privacy and do not mind the speed. So usually
Yes.
you would first of all have the fastest network, maybe not Glow, and then you would then before you use this other, because if you are using a slow network to begin with on a slow browser, it already makes your life more frustrating. But if you're using a very
Miserable.
fast
Yeah.
network on a slow browser, at least your network would help make things slightly faster for you.
Okay, but I've also heard of double VPN that
Okay.
encrypts your data twice as much as the normal VPN. I don't know why someone would want to use a double VPN and then maybe probably use a browser like Brave. I don't know what they're trying to hide, but I guess people have their reasons that they have to shield their information. So have you heard of
Yeah.
double VPN?
Okay, double VPNs. So now
Yes.
everybody's every yes. So the whole idea behind VPNs of encrypting your data, trying to encrypt, because the way VPNs work, like you've said now, is encrypting your data, ensuring that your IP address is not public, ensuring that the sites you're visiting don't know what you're doing. Then you're using that and you're also using Brave. Now, most times when people are using these things, there are two sets of people. There are individuals who just don't want the internet, or there are three sets of individuals. There are individuals who just don't want the internet to know what they are doing. There are those who are also trying to protect themselves from a level of from some kind of hacking, because if my data is sort of saved on my computer, on the laptop I use, someone just has to have access to my laptop and then can have access to my data. But if I'm using some of these encryption services, even though my laptop doesn't even know what I have done, depending on the level of
Okay.
encryption I've used. Now, so there are
Okay.
those who, for example, people who are in very critical positions in some very high, very serious companies, would use a lot of protection on their laptops and even the sites they use to browse, because they don't want individuals to steal their data because of corporate espionage. So there are those set of
Mm-hmm.
individuals who is just for the purpose of protecting their wealth. There are the other set of individuals who are just extremely paranoid and think that the government is watching us, Uncle Sam is watching us, who think that aliens are coming. There are those paranoid set of individuals who don't want
Aliens are coming.
yes, who
Don't
don't
forget
want
to
who
mention the people that are using it for evil.
yeah,
There's
yes, yeah,
another
no, yeah.
set
So
using it for evil.
yeah, we
Now
are
that's
going
my
to that
problem. That's my
yeah
problem with this whole data privacy,
thing.
private browsing, Brave
Yeah,
browser, VPN, and double VPNs. There are
yeah,
people who are doing a lot of bad things, a lot of bad
yeah,
things in the internet,
yeah,
fraudsters, human trafficking, and the rest. So let's
yeah.
talk about that one. Now I want to ask, how can we hold these companies that provide these services responsible for the fraudulent or criminal activities that their services are being used for? And then how do we protect unsuspecting victims? Is there any way that they can be protected from this set of people, this set of users?
Okay. Now, the reason why you may not be able to hold some of these companies responsible is because it's like I've given you an access to free speech because it's all based on the whole principle of freedom of speech and freedom to privacy and personal liberty,
Yeah.
which is a fundamental right that we all have. So these companies are
Mm-hmm.
selling the fact that you can exercise that right to privacy that you are entitled to, that is enshrined in every country's except for communist countries' constitutions. So because of that, the right to privacy and free speech is so well protected that sometimes it's difficult for if governments start strong arming some of these companies, everybody starts saying, "Oh, you are against free speech, you are against my privacy, you are in
Against
support of
privacy.
big
Yeah.
companies and you are in support of big tech and big telecom companies because they're the only ones who benefit from lack of access to privacy." So what usually happens is that if the government wants to, what they do is that they embed themselves in some of these communities because even though there's the whole place of the dark web and all of these places where people used to browse privately and extremely privately, where they sell weapons, sell children, human trafficking, sell bombs, a lot of things. They don't sell services because on this dark web, there are people who are there who can give you services on how to make a bomb, advise you on how to do kidnapping. You can even have contract killers for hire. What usually the government people do is that they have their own tech individuals who are embedding themselves into these communities because as much as there's the private browsing, there's still the community part of because I on Facebook, if I text you, you see my name, you have access to my data. But if we are browsing or we are chatting on a messenger that does not allow you to know who I am, all you have to do is lure me out of the of hiding and then you can arrest me. So that is the only way the government tries to protect individuals. Another way that we can protect ourselves is to be careful of what we use. So when the government banned use of Twitter, so many people downloaded VPNs and they're using the free VPN.
Including me,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
activist number one.
So now, but we're using free VPNs, and that's where the issue starts with. So some of these free VPNs are themselves created by hackers who want to have access to our data. So they
Yeah.
encrypt your data, yes, but they only encrypt it to the public, but they decrypt it to themselves so that they could have access to your data. And even some of these people could use it to get access to some people, for example, you put your ATM card, you put your code and everything, and you save it on your phone. Some people do that because of maybe like
So they don't forget.
so they don't forget, or not even forget, right? It's just convenient. So next time you don't have to bring out their card to if you want to
Just
just buy
copy
something,
and
just
paste. Yeah.
exactly. Now, if you use some of these VPNs that are created by individuals who want to steal your data, they have access to your data. So the first thing you should do is don't save. Personally, I will never save my
Sensitive
password
information.
exactly on if Google, when you're logging into a site, Google will say, "Do you want to save this password?" Or Edge will say, "Do you want to save this?" I don't usually click yes. The only time I click yes
Oh,
to save password is for places like Nigerian Weekly Law Report because if you like have access to my Nigerian Weekly Law reports,
you want
you
to
would
read
read the
law
law.
report, Abby?
Exactly, exactly, read law report because, but I will not
Oh,
give you access. I won't save my password to my email to anything that has access to my financial information on any platform at all, no matter how safe they claim to be. Because the other time Apple was hacked and celebrities issues, photos and stuff were leaked because people hacked Apple based on people saving their data, and people have been hacked and collected people's ATM or your debit card pins and all of that. So
mhm.
first thing, don't save, don't click yes. It may be
This is a
stressful.
very important point to note.
Yes, don't click yes. It may be stressful. Also, if you are storing your password, it's best to store your password offline and not online. So what do I mean by that? I have a book where I write all my passwords. I don't write it on my
So
phone because if I store it on my phone, if you steal my phone, if you are able to enter my somehow break the passcode and enter into the phone, you can have access to all my passwords. So also some of those apps that say OP, some people don't log out of their OP ever. I know I'm one of those people, sha, but you should log out of those your financial apps so that every time you are
So
logging
once
in, you are
they
logging in
hack your information, all they need to do is enter. It's already open, and they
exactly. It's
take
gone.
your money.
And the most important information the most important password is your email password because if even
Yeah.
though I don't have your OP password, I don't have your other password, I just have to click on reset password. It sends you OTP to your email. So if I have your email password, I can have access to all of your other
Oh
apps.
wow.
So that your email password should be the most well kept secret you have because that way nobody can change any other password. So be careful with where you log in. So if you go to for example, a public cyber cafe or something, don't try not to log in your ATM card code. No matter what, don't try to buy stuff on there. If you are using a public Wi-Fi, also don't also buy stuff there. Don't put your ATM code there, because anybody who has access to the public Wi-Fi just has to be able to break it, and they can have access.
You can
When
take your
Google,
information. So people,
exactly,
everyone who is listening, please, if you've saved your password on
yes,
your
go and
phone,
delete
you
it.
should delete it now. You should reset
Yes,
your email password too, and
yes,
write it somewhere. If it's something you can remember, please let it be in your head. This is a key takeaway
exactly,
for all of us as
exactly.
individuals.
So the way we
Okay,
can
so
protect ourselves is to protect ourselves essentially, because there's a limit to what the government can do. Because once we're on the internet, we can click and click and click. Sometimes somebody sends you a funny link on Facebook. Be very careful. Facebook is like the hackers. Should I say it's like where they have their lunch and dinner, because they keep sending links.
yes,
You see a fishy video, you will say so and so caught having sex with so and so. You go and click
you
on that
click,
video, but next thing you have lost access to your Facebook account, because you click
and
on
the
that. When you
craziest
click
part
on
is when they say, sorry to cut you. Someone will say they
yeah,
hacked my Facebook, and you try to ask them questions. What did you do? They will never tell you what they did. They know some
yeah,
of them know what they did.
they know
They
what they
must have
did.
clicked a bad link.
Exactly. You click on this link. On that thing, you should be careful. If you click on a link that you're not sure of, and it asks you to put your username and password in that link, go and copy it.
Run,
Pa- Yeah, exactly. Run. Especially if it's Facebook, because if you're already on Facebook and you click on the link, it shouldn't ask you for your username and password again.
log in again. You're already on Facebook.
Exactly. If somebody sends you, let's say they say, donate 5,000 naira to get 5 million naira, click on this link. Or the federal government is sharing 10,000 naira. Don't click on those links.
Yes,
Don't click
federal
on that.
government has started a grant
Exactly.
for market women. Very, we see those things, often on WhatsApp. You see people
Yes.
sharing the links to different groups, and
Yes.
as country day now, it's easy for someone to be lured to
To
click
click
on those
on
kind of things.
exactly. A few days ago, I got an email from my corporate bank account saying that my there was something about the fact that I should update my internet banking, something, something, something. So I looked at it, and I was wondering, first of all, I have updated everything about my internet banking, so there should not be an issue with it. When I clicked on the link, when I saw the link, then in the mail there was a, oh, call this number in case you have any issues following up. I was like, forgot that, but I said, okay, let me click on it. When I clicked on the link and it opened, it was I.Zenith Bank, but then the other numbers after the .com slash, well, they were different. And even before the .com, there was something that was slightly different. So I said, let me go and check where I usually log in. So I went and logged into my Zenith Bank internet banking platform. Then follow the steps they said I should follow. And I saw that those steps they said I should follow were not existing on the actual Zenith Bank platform. But if I had followed that link that they told me, the first thing I would have done would have been to put my username and password,
And
then
that's
give
bye
them my
bye.
OTP. That's bye bye. So when I see those emails, if Zenbank tells me any email I see, update your this, I don't click on that. Since usually I know my internet banking platforms, I go to them by myself. I don't just click on the link that was sent via mail. And I went back
You
to
go
check
back
that
to the
mail.
main website.
Exactly. I went back to check that mail, and sometimes if I send you a mail, if you have communicated before, even if my email is boboke@rocketmail.com, if I have been communicating
Mm,
before, if the name of my email is Kofi Apori, what you will see is Kofi Apori. You won't see the Boboke. It's sort of hidden. You have to click on Kofi Apori
yeah,
before it shows you the actual email string. So usually that's
yeah.
what these hackers do. They would put their name. So when I got the mail, I saw Zenith customer care. But after I confirmed it was a fake, I went back to click and I saw that the customer care was also this Identity Connect. It was different. I was like, see, I would have just made the mistake. So
And
just be
that's you.
careful.
That's you who knows. That's you who is
Yes,
smart enough to know.
yes,
A lot of people do not know.
yes. So you just have to be careful. Just assume everybody's out to get you on the internet, and if you have that assumption, then you'll be careful with what you're clicking on and what links you join and what groups you join, and yeah, you'll be as
Yeah.
safe as you can be.
Thank you so much. Okay, so the final question I have for today is, what is the key takeaway for organizations? It's not just Google that is processing their data of their users. A host of other organizations out there, other companies out there processing data. So what should be the key takeaway for other organizations that are handling and processing data?
The key takeaway is transparency is key. Now, if you are transparent with your customers, you are more likely to have loyal customers. If customers
Mhm.
are not, if you're not transparent with them and then they find out that you are doing something that they feel threatened by, customers will run away to another brand. So if you are transparent,
Mhm.
as to, because the law requires you to be transparent to begin with. So first of all, if you are transparent, you are in line with the law. But if you are not transparent, you are going to be breaching one or two regulations, data privacy. Tell customers, sometimes these companies collect more than they need. And if you haven't collected more than you need as a company, you need to have more server space. So why are you collecting
Too
so much
much,
data
yeah.
when you don't need that much data? So just collect what you need, because we just have blankets data collection and we just collect as much data, and then at the end of the day we have to start looking for how to store those data, pay for servers and all of that. So collect what you need, be transparent, just obey the law and think of us, because you too are a user of another platform that is also going to
Another
rip
platform,
you off.
yes.
Exactly. So just be transparent with us, and hopefully everybody will be in a better place.
Employ good compliance officers that stingy.
Yes,
You have people who are putting you and saying,
yes,
no, this is how it should be done, this is how it should be done, so that you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the law. You will pay dearly with your profit
exactly.
money.
Exactly. Don't just
Okay,
employ, listen to
okay.
them. Because there's the you can employ them and
Yeah,
not listen to them. So listen to them. The
yeah.
other day I was trending on Twitter where some sales guys were complaining that compliance guys are the bane of every startup. That compliance guys don't think of the business side of things. But then you forget that, eh, like what of Young just pointed out, if you do not comply, by the time
You will
if you
pay.
are a fintech, CBN comes and hits you with a fine, you may crash because of that fine.
Exactly,
So
because it could be too much for you to handle.
exactly.
Okay, guys, so if you have questions, please drop them in the comment section. We'll take time to respond to your comments. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Kofi. I don't have any other question. Do you have any other thing to say
So,
to add? I think we've exhausted
no,
everything, if not almost everything, if not everything.
no. The only thing I have to add is that I wish you a very beautiful birthday, and I pray that God blesses you abundantly. That you keep smiling like this going forward. Have a good.
I say I hope we'll do this again some other time.
Yeah, yes, yes, certainly, certainly. I have to wear my icon and mustard shirt again. So
Of course, you have to rep.
good.
Thank you so
Okay,
much. Enjoy the
okay.
rest of your evening.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye bye. Bye, guys.